My job here is simple: tell you stories and have fun with it. So if you like to hear stories and you want to have some fun, you're at the right place, and we're going places together. So stick with me. Hello everyone, and welcome to Adesola Ride. Today we'll be taking at a story of a man who went from hiding to being called a man of valor. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to be reading one verse out of Judges chapter 6 for you, and the rest I will basically just tell you as a story. So Judges chapter 6, we'll be looking from 11 to the end. However, I'll be reading verse 12 for you. Judges 6 verse 12 says, "And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor." Now, the story of the man we're looking into today is called Gideon. And I'm just going to give you some character lists, right? The people we're going to be talking about. So we have Gideon. We're going to see the angel of the Lord is in the story. And we have Joash, the father of Gideon, and the army of 300. So let's go. During the time of Gideon, the Midianites were the ops for the children of Israel, basically. So they would come and steal their food. They would come and not even steal, they would take their food right in front of them. So Gideon here, he was actually in the wine press and he was threshing wheat. Back in those days, the way I can explain it is when you're threshing wheat, you're supposed to be somewhere high. So as you lift the wheat off, the chaff can fly off. But Gideon was in the wine press. The wine press is where they basically do crush the grapes. And he was in the wine press doing his wheat, right? Why is he doing that? Because he's scared of the enemy. He doesn't want anyone to come and take away his food. And then the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said, "Whoa, mighty man of valor." And Gideon was like, who they talking to? Are they talking to me? And then he was like, no, my Lord, for I am the least of my brethren, right? And the angel of the Lord was like, "You're going to save Israel. Through you, the Lord shall save Israel." And he was like, "Really?" So now Gideon went ahead and asked for a sign because he just wanted to make sure that he wasn't making this stuff up. When he asked for a sign, the angel of the Lord gave him a sign. And he was like, "Whoa, okay." Now the angel of God said, "Your first task is to go destroy the idols of your father's house." Imagine them sending you to go destroy the idols of your father's house, meaning that the things that your father's house and your relative have held dear to their heart, it might be the god of Mammon, it might be the god of anything, go and destroy it. In this case, it was Baal. Baal is basically like an idol. They will carve it out and, they will bow down to it. That was the idol that the Israelites like bringing back into their lives whenever they feel far away from God. So the angel of God told Gideon, "Go and destroy the idols of your father's house." Now remember, his father was who? Joash. Joash is the father of Gideon. Gideon was scared and he took 10 of his servants and he went at night to destroy, the idol, because he couldn't go during the daytime as he didn't want them to catch him or do something to him. He was still scared. Remember now, the calling of God is upon Gideon's life, but Gideon still found himself scared. This is something that happens to a lot of us. However, it didn't stop there. The next day, when they realized that their idol has been destroyed, the people of the city came out and they're like, "Who did this? Who did this? Who did this?" And someone was like, "Oh, it's Gideon, the son of Joash." And they were like, "Bring him out. We want to kill him. We want to do this and that." Joash, being an influential man, a wealthy man, came out and was like, "Are you people going to fight for God? If the idol is actually a god, let him fight for himself. Let him strike Gideon down by himself." So the people went back and nothing happened to Gideon, right? The Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon and he blew a trumpet. Now he's trying to gather his army because Gideon now has somewhat of a confidence to go against the enemy because the Lord is with him. When he blew the trumpet, then he called for all his brothers is far and wide. He said, hey, you come and join my army. He was recruiting like a recruiter, like he had a quarter. He was recruiting and recruiting and recruiting. So when he was done recruiting, he was not like, wait, hold on. So he asked God for another sign. This is the second time the Gideon is asking God for a sign. This time he said, Lord, if you're really the one that is sending me, I'm going to put this fleece of wool outside, and I don't want there to be dew anywhere else but on the fleece of wool. The next day when Gideon came out, he picked up that wool. It was heavy with water. He was like squeezing water out of it. And he was like, oh Lord, I know, but please don't be upset. Don't be upset, oh my God. But if you're the one that is calling me, I'm going to place this wool again. The next day, I want everywhere else to have dew, but this wool, nothing. He woke up the next day and it was so. Now think about it, how God is literally basically babysitting him, like taking baby steps with him. And it is wonderful to actually realize that God is willing to take baby steps with us. He asked for 3 signs and the Lord gave him 3 signs. Now, Gideon had his 32,000 people ready to fight. Of course, when you see the numbers of these people, you have some confidence. You're like, okay, at least, we know we're about to eat. We're about to have a good time with the enemy. But guess what God said? The Lord said, no, these people that you have with you are too much. Because I don't want you to do it and then think you did it by your own might. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and ask everyone who is scared to go home. Which Gideon did. He asked, is there anyone else here scared? Is anyone here worried or whatever? And from 32,000, we came down to 10,000 men. Just imagine the difference. So now Gideon is like, he's like, okay, we're still safe, but Lord, please. And the Lord was like, we're even going to reduce that even more. At this point, he told them to take these men to the stream and for them to drink water. So any man that was drinking water like this, right, bending and drinking water like a dog, he told them to send them home. But everyone that brought the water up and drank while they washed, he told them to stay. So the ones who drank water the right way were 300 men. Now take a look at this. If you were Gideon at this point, what is going through your mind? Like, first of all, Lord, I was just in my basement. I was in my basement minding my business, and then you called me to actually be something, and now you're telling me to not even go with an army? The enemy has so much against us. The enemy have resources. The enemy have people. The enemy have connections. And you're telling me all I need is my word? You're telling me all I need is the right people, the select few? Of course, Gideon was beginning to doubt at this point, right? So, being Gideon, guess what he was about to do? Well, if you guess ask for a sign, you're right. But before he even asked for a sign this time, the Lord told him to go and find that sign. So he told Gideon, he said, if you're scared, take your servant and go to the host of the enemy at night. And when you get there, you shall see your sign. If you're scared, right? And Gideon did, because he's a scared man. He's scared, just like me. He's scared. Gideon is so relatable, yo. So he took his servant and he went down to the host. And when he got there, and 2 people in the host of the enemy were conversing, and one of them was like, oh, I had a dream. I saw this, I saw that. And the other one was like, oh, that is nothing but the hand of God using Gideon, this, that. So it's crazy that the enemies even prophesied. So when he heard that, he was like, let's go. I'm pumped. Because he was like, okay, there's no way I can lose now. So he went back and he was like, let's go. The Lord has given this battle onto our hands. And then, he basically arranged his people from 300, 100, 100, 100. And he gave them what? Trumpets. He didn't give them sword, gave them trumpet and basses. So the plan was that they would blow the trumpet. The Lord has given the battle into the hand of Gideon, and you shall, the enemy shall fall, blah, blah, blah. and they shall shatter the jars. Douche. So that caused the whole confusion. And while they were doing that, the Lord went ahead and fought his own battle. The host of the enemies turned against themselves. Isn't that beautiful? So what are some key points to note in this story? Number one, how you see yourself matters. Remember in the beginning when I told you that Gideon saw himself as the least? Meanwhile, this man was actually influential, and this is how I know he's influential. The first time when he went to destroy the idols of his father's house, he took 10 servants. For you to have servants back in those days, know that you're a big boy, okay? So he was a big boy, but he still saw himself as little. The second indication that he was actually a big boy was that his father was influential. How do we know his father was influential? When the people of the city came and they wanted to destroy him, the father was able to hold them off and be like, why would you fight for an idol? Let the idol come and fight for himself. And even the idol house was in his father's house. So the father was influential, but Gideon still saw himself as little. How do you see yourself? How you see yourself matters. It matters a lot. The second point is do it scared, but do it anyways. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we're placed in situations where we have to do things for God, where we have to do things for our family, for ourselves. You're scared. That's understandable. That is totally fine. Do it scared, but do it anyways. Gideon asked God for a sign, Gideon asked God for 3 signs. And even after that, at the very edge of his breakthrough, he was still scared. And the Lord was like, you know what? I know what he needs. Because obviously, I, the Lord God Almighty, I'm telling you that you're not going to fail. But that is not enough for you. So now I'm going to send you to your enemies so they can tell you. Maybe the words of the enemies weigh more than the words of God. Hey! The third key point to note here is that power is in the hands of God, not in numbers. You see how the Lord intentionally brought down Gideon's men, his army, from 32,000 to 300. That shows you that it doesn't matter if the enemies seem like they have more people, if they seem like they have more resources, if they seem like they've been in the game for way longer than you are. If you have God on your side, those numbers are just mere numbers. The Lord, He's able and He's capable of turning all those numbers against themselves. You just have to walk right with God. And when Gideon had his 300 men and God, guess what? God even gave them trumpets. You don't even need a sword to fight. When you have God, stand still and know that it is done, because God is going to fight your battles. But how will all this happen if you're not a child of God? That is why it is important to be a child of God. That is why it's important to hear edifying stuff such as this. So I'm inviting you to take God serious, to be with Him, to invite Him into your decision making, because that is the only way that He can turn the numbers of the enemies against themselves. Amen. Okay. And that is it. So the prayer point for today is, oh Lord, my God, I know that I may feel weak, but I'm trusting you to turn my weakness into strength. Make me a man of valor. And when I say man, I don't mean like man male, man/woman of valor. So say it as it applies to you. Oh Lord, my God, I know that I may feel weak, but give me strength. Give me strength, Lord. Give me your strength. Thank you all once again. Thank you once again. If you've stayed up to this point, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for having fun. I hope the word has impacted you today. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and always leave a comment behind. The community is going to keep growing, and I would love to have you with me. Until next time, bye. I love you.